Hello, my fantasy friends. Welcome to Starting Lineup here on MLSsoccer.com for round 12. 4 double game weeks this week, but remember not to go overboard. For any of you who captained Aurelian Collin last week, I'm sorry about that. Nobody saw that coming, but hopefully you can make up for it this week. Looking back at the top 10 scores from last week, only 4 of them were from the double game weeks, and hats off to you if you were one of the combined 3.4% of people who risked it on Danny Cruz or Christian Maidana. So the moral of this story here, do not leave Diego Fagundes on your bench. This guy, my bad. All right, so we're gonna look at this week's double game weeks, DC and Houston, and then LA and Dallas. I'm going to take DC and Houston today. Andrew is going to take LA and Dallas tomorrow. You have 4 teams to choose from here, but with only 2 free transfers, unless you set yourself up nicely last week, you're going to need to pick and choose. So, where do you go with those limited picks? Let's look at the first 2 choices, DC and Houston. DC is at home to Houston and then away to New England, who apparently score goals for fun these days. Fabian Espindola is the safe pick here for DC United. He's the fulcrum of their attack, and unfortunately, that means recently he's turned provider as opposed to goal scorer. But look, points are points. The other guy here is Chris Rolfe. Another guy to look at. He's only $7.1 million. Remember, he's a midfielder if you're trying to fit him into your lineup. Now, as far as the DC defense goes, I can see a shutout against Houston or at least a bunch of defensive bonus points for all the center backs and Bill Hamid. And don't be too afraid of that New England game. Remember, it's just a bonus on top of whatever points they get on Wednesday night. Even if they do poorly and only get 1 or 2 points because they gave up 4 goals, you're still going to do okay. And look, if you can't get Jaime Pinedo of the LA Galaxy, I think Bill Hamid is your next best choice in goal this week. And a final note on DC United, looking at their upcoming schedule. It's not so bad. Sporting Kansas City and their banged up defense at home, followed by another home game against Columbus and their depleted defense, and then they have Montreal. So DC attackers should be fine to hold on to for the coming weeks. As far as Houston goes, you should all have David Horst on your fantasy team by now, and if you don't, you've been sleeping on the CBI King. But they've played a lot of games recently, and going from Houston to DC all the way to San Jose is going to be a tough test for them. I have to assume Dominic Kinnear is going to shuffle their lineup a little this week, and that makes them tough to predict. They also play Colorado on the road again next week before a home game against Sporting Kansas City. So my advice here is to stick with who you already have from the Dynamo and avoid going out of your way to pick up anyone else this week. That's all I have for Starting Lineup this week, my fantasy friends. Don't forget to check out Andrew Wiebe tomorrow. He'll be breaking down the Los Angeles Galaxy and FC Dallas. And please, when you're making your transfers this week, don't forget, you don't want to drop Sporting Kansas City, Chivas, or Portland players as they have double game weeks in round 13. So even your boy Alvis Powell could be back by then.